Please tell girls, command me.
Like, it was tense and all, and then it suddenly became hilarious.
What is happening? Just what is happening? I cannot believe this. I am so much in shock.
Hello everyone, this is me again, V. Welcome back to my channel, and to everyone who has been sticking around with me even though I wasn't posting any videos, thank you so much. It means a lot. And to all the new people who have joined me, welcome everyone. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys stick around. Thought I would talk about a little about what I've been reading and what I've been loving and stuff about my life, but we can't do it because this vlog is already too long. Like, I don't even like that it's this long, but I didn't want to cut so many things because I had a lot of thoughts and I wanted to share all of them. Before we get into the vlog, I just wanted to tell you all the books that I'm going to be talking spoilers about. So yeah, I'm going to be talking spoilers about all the short stories that are about the Lost Stars characters, which are from different books. So I'm going to mention them along with the story titles in the description bar below. Make sure you check it out before you get into the vlog in case you want to avoid spoilers. If you don't care about spoilers, about the stories and stuff like that, well, you can definitely continue watching the vlog because I don't really talk major spoilers about stories, but I talk major spoilers about books, I think. So Chain of Gold is definitely being discussed because it's the prequel, and I also talk about the Infernal Devices and the Darker Devices. I also talk about Secrets of Blackthorn Hall. If you don't already know what it is online installments that Cassie posts every Monday on Tumblr, and it is set after the Darker Devices. We follow Julian and Emma on their travel year, and it has a lot of connections to the Lost Stars. It's also kind of setting a base for the Wicked powers. I'm not going to say that you're missing out on something big, but if you're a crazy Shadowhunter fan and you're craving more canon content and you did not know about this, I would say definitely check it out. I'm going to leave the link to the Tumblr account also in the description bar below so you can check it out. As for now, let's just get into the vlog.
Did this book just start with Belial? But nothing ever happened as it did in books. I did not think that I would be tabbing this book this early. So I'm reading about Cordelia getting ready for this party. And it's just that she's getting ready and she's thinking that it doesn't even matter how she looks because James is not gonna look at her. Or even if he does, like, he's not gonna look at her in that way. It would matter to him how she looks. So James did not come to pick Cordelia, and it's Matthew, and Alistair's like, "Where's James? You know, the one of you that was supposed to be here." And Matthew's like, "James was called away on important business." "What business?" said Alistair. "No business of yours," Matthew said, clearly pleased with himself. Rather walked into that one, eh? And the way he says it, I love him. Okay, so it's only page 24, and I'm just already so happy. I have no idea how long this vlog is going to be. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible because I'm literally stopping every few pages to talk about something, and right now what it is that Cordelia was like, "Surely you must know a more scandalous place," and Matthew said, "Corrupting one's peripatetized bride is not considered sporting." And she laughed, and then she suddenly felt very tired. "Oh, Matthew, you know it's a fake wedding. It doesn't matter what I do. James won't care." And it's just sad, you know? It's just sad. Like, she's not one of my favorite characters. I love her, I appreciate her, but still, and I just feel sad for her. And it's just the start of the book. I am a bit scared and confused. You do not just take Lilith's name for no reason. And just now, 𝗵𝗵𝗄 said, in December, the Ruel pays homage rather to its patron with the festum lamia, its cosmic patron, our ancestor called by some the mother of warlocks, by others the mother of demons. "Ah," said Matthew. "Lilith. No, you do not talk about Lilith for no reason. Whatever is going to happen, I hope Lilith does not have an appearance. Like, she could help Belial or Tatiana or whoever, but just I hope she does not appear. I'm literally going to go mad because Hypatia is like, owls are her symbol. I mean, I don't know if it was mentioned in the Mortal Instruments or not, but I forgot. And now that she told me this, all I can think about is that Ash and Drew fan art that Cassie got commissioned, and we got the newsletter. Like, you remember, right? There was an owl in that. Okay, leave that aside. She said Lilith stretches out her hand sometimes to assist warlocks who are faithful to her cause. I'm going paranoid. Everything about Lilith that's being said is making me think that she's going to appear in this book, and no. The Lost Rights cast already is going through a lot of shit. They do not need Lilith in it. Okay, this is sort of insane. I mean, I know how the Seelie Queen gets to know your heart's desires, but like, can any fairy do that? Because that fairy just told Cordelia, you need not marry a man who does not love you, you know. And like, bitch, how do you know? James is at his party with his friends and he's thinking about the bracelet, and he's like, I'm gonna just take off the bracelet. I cannot control my feelings or my thoughts, but I can at least take off the bracelet because he does not want to hurt Cordelia in any way. He does not want to betray her, and I know, I mean, I want him to take the bracelet off. But this is a Cassandra Clare book, and of course I'm not supposed to believe that he would. I mean, I'm sure after everything that I've been reading in Secrets of Blackthorn Hole so far, I think it would either slip his mind, like he would just forget that he even thought about taking it off. I don't know. So Jesse Blackthorn just appeared. Nothing happened, nothing at all. He just said his first line and it put a smile on my face. And I'm like, I am dying to read more about this poet. I'm reading the Grace chapter and I'm reading about her. I have only read like 2 pages and I'm feeling for her. I think she deserves a redemption arc. I think she should have a redemption arc. I don't know how Cassie Clare would do that, but I would like to see it done. And I'm just glad that I'm getting to read her background because it would help me understand her better, and I really wanted to understand Grace. I wanted to get her POV, and I just wanted to know what's going on in her head and what her intentions are. Like, does she not have a brain? Why is she doing what she's doing? And like, I wanted to know. I needed answers, and I'm getting them. Anyways, I'm just not able to read a lot, and I'm not able to read fast. I'm more nervous than I'm excited, and I'm not able to read. Every sometime after reading every single page, I just feel like this book is going to be like a weight on my chest. So I just read these lines, and Grace was like, will you train me too? And Jessie broke into a smile that made her burst into tears, overwhelmed by the sudden feeling of being cared for, of being cared about, of belonging to something larger than herself. I'm feeling things, and I love Jessie. So the bracelet cannot be taken off. Of course it cannot be taken off, but like, I thought it would be something similar to what I read in Secrets of Blackthorn Hall, that just like there was the enchantment on the diary that you could not talk about it to anyone, it was not allowing you to talk about it to anyone. I thought that the bracelet would be like, he would think about removing it, but then he would forget he even thought about it. Now he's been meaning to remove it, and he's even tried to remove it, but then he couldn't because like, the bracelet is somehow locked on his wrist. How can he not? What? Like, this time Tatiana or Belial did something to it that now it cannot be taken off. Oh, by the way, earlier I think I thought, or maybe I said, that I cannot imagine how James must be feeling trapped, but now I'm like, he doesn't even know that he's trapped. He's not feeling that. He might be fighting subconsciously, but like consciously he's not. He doesn't even know what he's going through. So I just read the lines. Albert Pangborn had taken over the running of the Cornwall Institute from Felix Blackthorne in 1850. I'm glad that I have successfully avoided as many spoilers as I have. But I haven't seen anybody talk about a different line of Blackthorns, not before Secrets of Blackthorn Hall. When I read Chain of Gold, when I got to know that Jesse was a ghost, and when I was like, yeah, then if he's the only Blackthorn, how come Julian and his family exist? Because when I thought about it, there was no mention of resurrecting Jesse, not even the idea of it. I think I wasn't that far into Chain of Gold by then, but of course after reading Grace and Lucie's plan about teaming up and resurrecting Jesse, that idea faded in my head. But then Secrets of Blackthorn Hall, I'm reading it as soon as the installment comes out, and I was like, oh yes, I thought about it once, and what is Cassie hinting at? And now when I read this, I'm like, did no one think about it? I'm literally thinking, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? Because Grace just came to James and just whatever happened, they were alone together behind a pillar, and she's like, I must speak with you alone before the ceremony. I must. It is important. The optimist in me told me that she could help him. She could be nice for once. She could take the bracelet off again before the ceremony. I just don't know. I thought that. And then I'm like, oh yeah, can't trust her. And then Matthew comes. I'm so glad. Thank you, Matthew. But what the fuck is going on, Grace? Why did she have to talk to him? I hope you can hear me scream. I am screaming in my head. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yes, I was thinking about it, that maybe Grace is about to help him again, that she would take off the bracelet again, and she is thinking about it. She just said she was wrong then, and perhaps she was wrong now, to try again. And I just read it and I just had to talk about it because I'm so... But I know it will not happen. Someone will come, something will be interrupted, something will happen, and the bracelet could not be taken off. I know it. Great, so Tatiana the bitch can possess bodies now with the help of Belial or whoever the patron is. Do not tell me it's Lilith. I have not forgotten her name being mentioned. So she's here. Grace was thinking about telling James or helping him take the bracelet off or something, and Tatiana is here. Oh my god, my blood is boiling. Hey, it's next day. I'm just about to sit to read, and I only read till chapter 3 yesterday, so we're gonna continue with chapter 4. I am having a feeling that their wedding would be cancelled. Something would happen that would interrupt it. But if it does go well, if the wedding does happen, I am so not gonna be okay, because it's only gonna be for a year. But this, the way they're getting married right now, thinking they would separate after a year and it's only for a show and stuff, I hate it. I was just reading, and there's this line where James is he could no longer imagine what had induced him to say yes to meeting Grace. And all I can think about is a few pages back in a previous chapter, I think, Matthew was telling James that he has never spent time with Grace alone, and even if he has, he would not remember. So was he just saying it to say it, or was it real? Does he not remember that Grace kissed him? I think he should. He ought to remember. But still, the way it's written that James thought that, it just made me think of Matthew's line, and I'm overthinking, I guess. Is that a glove for Grace Blackthorne, I think? Jem playing the violin on their wedding had me emotional. They still have to go and exchange the runes on the heart in private, and I'm not ready for it, because that is so intimate, and I wanted them to go through all of this. I shipped James and Cordelia. I just wish they did not have to get married in this way. They're doing it for each other's respect and honor. They're not getting married for love. I mean, Cordelia loves him, but James doesn't know, and James loves her, but he doesn't know. Okay, so this was just funny. I loved this part. Christopher was telling Cordelia, welcome to the family. You're our cousin-in-law now. I've never had one of those before. And Matthew's like, all Shadowhunters are related already. And it just made me laugh, because yes, kind of hate that this is happening. Alistair just came to congratulate them, and James is being rude. Like, dude, he came. He's being nice. Just don't do it on the wedding day, especially in front of his sister. Like, Cordelia standing right there. I don't like this. James did not have to be like that. He just said, I suppose you at least have enough social grace to know the right things to say, even if you can't bring yourself to sound like you mean them. And like, already I'm angry at James. In the very next moment, James is being very kind to Alistair. Alistair is like, how will I make amends if no one will let me? And James told him, give people time, Alistair. You have hurt people, you must allow them their anger, otherwise it will only become another thing that you have tried to take away. And I'm glad that he said that, but I'm still angry that he is mean to him in front of Cordelia. Like, at least in front of her, for her sake, be nice to her brother, be kind to him, or just ignore him altogether. He only came to congratulate, but they did not have to just start their arguments and start being mean to him and teaming up against him right there. This is one of the lines. He had dreamed of all this in a half-guilty way, living with him, being so close, so often, but she had never imagined the reality of it, the sweet piercing intimacy of ordinary married life. I just loved these lines. Like, they're sweet, they're sad, and I love them. And then there's this. A year of happiness married to a boy she adored. Some people never had so much as that. You're seeing me smile, yes, 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 because I did not expect it. I've seen this quote so many times, I've read it, and I'm like, this is the context. So it's been like 2 weeks of their marriage, and James gave her a globe-like pendant on their 2-week marriage anniversary, and I'm like, when he says the lines, we have talked so much of travel, I wanted to give you the world. James! Oh my god. And for Cordelia to hear those lines and know that the boy who's telling her this doesn't even love her, when he does, I can't take it. So you see, that's what the pendant is. That globe-like pendant. If the honor of the first dance is still available, Mrs. Herndale. That's Matthew. And he asked her for a dance, and I can't wait to read this. That is definitely the witchlight runestone in his hand. But what is that? I don't know how Matthew does it, but it just makes me sad. The way he so casually said, you mean is anyone a murderer? I am. And Cordelia laughed. And I'm like, how could he just say that so casually, just like that? I'm not really a fan of Anna Lightwood, and I loved her in her short story Every Exquisite Thing, but after that, when I read about her in Jane of Gold, I did not like her. I don't hate her, I love her personality, but like, I do not like her attitude. I do not like the way that she behaves with, I cannot say women in general, but like, she thinks she has the right to break people's heart, and it's not the same thing as that line from The Mortal Instruments, Isabel Lightwood is a heartbreaker. No, that was somehow different. What Anna is doing is different, and for some reason it just makes me dislike her. And just now Ariadne came to her, and it's been said that she comes to her again and again at different parties, and Anna said, it's been 4 months since you told me you would win me back. I am not to be won, Ariadne. Love is a prison, and I have no desire for shackles. Blah blah. But Ariadne says, but I love you, and I do not feel shackled. And Anna says, it has led you to imprisonment in this pantry. And Ariadne says, with you, so I am happy. And I feel sad for Ariadne. I just think that she does not deserve such harsh treatment, because the things that she said in the novella, in the short story Every Exquisite Thing, the things about wanting a family, dreaming about it, having kids and stuff, I kind of understand that thing, but I don't know, I understand Anna as well. I'm sad. Anna just left Ariadne after kissing her, and I'm like, okay, I get it, I get what Anna is doing, but like, I don't know, I cannot decide. I just think that it's too harsh isn't it?
Oh my god. Okay, so Lucy was out of her room and Jesse was reading the beautiful Cordelia, and he was reading the part where she's written about herself and Jesse, and oh my god, it kind of is embarrassing, but it's funny, and I'm just so happy to be reading about them because they deserve so much more page time. Amazing, simply amazing. The communication level between Lucy and Jesse, the way she told him she loves him, just like that. I'll show you. Princess Lucinda would have told you she loved you a long time before now. You don't understand. When I am with you, I imagine that my heart is beating, though it has not beaten for 7 years. You give me so much, and I can give you nothing at all. And I'm like, I just love these two so much. Just beautiful. You guys have got to just, oh my god, know that I love Jesse and Lucy a lot, and I'm gonna repeat it for as many times I read about them in this whole vlog. Like, I'm not gonna stop. I love them so much. Jesse had gotten angry and Lucy was like, then why? So Jesse said, did I get so angry? It must have seemed to you that I hated the book, or hated your writing, or hated the character Jethro. But it was nothing of the sort. If anything, I was jealous of the bastard. He was one... I just loved when he said bastard. I loved it. His one purpose is to say exactly what he feels. You have to understand that I always assumed that you could never feel anything for me, and that is why I thought that it was safe that I felt the way I did about you. And Lucy's like, what do you mean the way you felt? And he's like, it's almost a joke. A ghost falling in love with a living girl and pining away in a dusty attic while she lives her life. But I could survive that, Lucy. It would just be a tragedy for me. And, oh my god, you just get me. I know I'm reading the lines and I do not need to do that, but you get me. It's exactly the same way that Lucy did when Lucy said that Princess Lucinda would have told you way before this that she loved you. And, like, she put it out there that she loves him. And the same way Jesse's talking about it, like, they're not direct, but they're saying it in a way. Even if it's indirect, at least they're saying it. They're not keeping it inside. And I'm just, my ghostwriter heart. It's so happy when boys tell girls to command them. Command me. He stroked his free hand down the side of her cheek. Command me, Lucy. Command me. I am asking you. Command me to dance with you. When boys tell girls, command me, it just gets me, okay? I love him. I love Jesse. I don't think I'll ever have a guy in my life who would tell me, command me. I don't think so. James is having headaches, and I think those headaches probably just happen when he's getting close to Cordelia. Like, the headaches are stopping him somehow. I don't get it. Don't look at me like that. I haven't brushed my hair since yesterday. I haven't taken a bath. I am not even planning to today. So yesterday I read till the part where Cordelia was suddenly in James' lap, and I was like, what? Like, it was so sudden. It was so odd. I did not like that scene. I felt that it was very unnecessary. And after reading that scene, I was like, I don't want to read more. And I stopped reading. And I cannot even think of anything. Like, perhaps James was having another nightmare. Most probably he was, and she heard him and she went to him. Like, what makes sense is that she would be beside him, she would shake him, she would wake him up, ask him what's happening, but she would not be on top of him, and he would not pull her into his lap. Like, it feels like Cassie was satisfying the fans who wanted something physical to happen between Cordelia and James. It did not have to happen, to be honest. I did not like that scene. I'd seen a fan art, I'll share it over here, and I loved it, and I thought that it would be a very sweet, intimate scene, but it was not. Anyways, I'm gonna read ahead. 2 things. 1, yes, James was having a nightmare, and it does not justify the way that scene happened. No. And 2nd, Lucy saw a ghost. Is it the same ghost that she saw in Chain of Gold? I don't know. I think it's the same ghost. Philomena just told them He bled red blood like a man, but his eyes, they were filled with hate, such hate. Cordelia glanced at James, and she was thinking about how he told her, "I felt such hate. It did not seem like a human hate." And all I'm thinking about is, don't tell me that it's actually James who is doing this. Because I know, I've been reading all those parts, that man, whoever it is, 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗀𝗀, who is killing people in a man's body. But for some reason I'm feeling like, is he somehow possessing James and then killing the bodies through James' hands? Because he's saying that when he has the nightmares, he says London clearly, the details are clear. So it's either a dream and he's having visions, or it's him who is actually killing. Not much of an update, but again, two very weird things are happening. It's only James who can shoot the gun with the rune on it, and it's like Cordelia's hand is burning whenever she reaches for Katana. Weird. So Tatiana almost literally pimped Grace, sending her off to older men and young boys and checking how the power works, and just, it sucks. I hate it. It's probably insane, but like, I love this page so much. It's a conversation between James and Matthew, and I'm like, I want to tab every line. I wish I could highlight, but I just do not like highlighting, writing in my books. Anyways, I'm just so in love with these lines. I'm sad and happy. I like that they're talking. I like that they ask each other about, you know, how they're doing, and that they care about one another, but just, it's sad. She's talking about, "Do you remember you had fever and I read to you?" And he's like, "I don't." And then Cordelia tells him, "This happened and that happened, and do you really not remember?" And James is like, "I'm sorry, Daisy, I wish I did." And it just, I am not okay, because, you know, if it were something normal and he'd forgotten that she read to him and they talked and stuff, well, okay, people do forget things sometimes. But because I know it's because of that damn Grace lad, I am so mad. And the very next moment, Daisy's like, "There's only one thing to be done. I'm going to remind you." And I'm like, yes, please do that. Wow, okay, I have to stop every few pages just to talk about this book, but I can't. And this scene just happened where Lucy and Grace go to Malcolm, and they're talking about, you know, raising the dead. And Malcolm's like, "Even if it were possible to raise the dead without also taking life to restore balance, you would need a body for the departed to occupy, a body that hasn't rotted away. But alas, as you surely must know by now, it is in the nature of the dead to rot." And then Lucy's like, "What if we had a body?" And I'm like, yeah, Malcolm's definitely getting ideas, and he doesn't know if Annabelle is dead. I don't know if she's dead already or not, and if she is, whatever it is, we know, spoilers for the Dark Artifices, that Annabelle's body was in pristine condition. Or not? No, it wasn't. Was she bones? I've forgotten. Yeah, okay, so she definitely was bones. She was a skeleton, and, you know, Julian saw her body, and yeah. So I'm just curious to know more about her and her story with Malcolm. I don't know if Cassie would even give it importance in this book. Wow, I just read a scene between Anna and Ariadne, and I'm gonna share that scene. Anna sat up. "I'm not being dishonest with you, Ari. I've told you exactly what I have to offer. If it's not enough, I won't blame you if you leave." "I'm not leaving." "Why not?" "Because when you want something very much, you are willing to accept the shadow of that thing, even if it is just a shadow." And the dialogue that Ariadne says directly reflects what Cordelia is going through, or has been going through, since Jane of Gold. Why am I feeling that James in his dreams is being possessed and he's killing the people, that he is killing the people? I have no idea why I'm thinking that, but I know it cannot be James. He's literally dreaming it. He woke up from the dream. He could not have done it, but then I don't know what to make of this. Cordelia was just, you know, she left her father's body. She could not take her mother crying and Alistair being like he was, and it was just, even I was getting sad. I was just
not able to understand what's going on with Alistair and how he's dealing with it, what he's even feeling. But then Cordelia just ran away and James followed her, and she's like, you didn't have to follow me. And he's like, I'm here because of you, and I want to be here because of you. And somebody kill me, because he's saying things that I want him to say to her, but I want him to say to her while he knows he loves her, while she knows he loves him, and they don't. So, you know that thing where James and Cordelia decided that they would play a game, and whoever wins, they have the right to ask a question and the other one has to answer truthfully, and it was kind of nice. But then I'm like, okay, just forget for a second that you guys love each other. One doesn't know and one can tell, but you still consider yourselves friends. So why do you have to win a game to ask something? Like, why can't you just ask and truthfully tell each other what's going on? Why? Because just now when Cordelia asked him, pretend I've won a chess game, I'll owe you an answer, just tell me the truth. And I'm like, why can't you guys just talk? Why do you have to have those conditions to speak the truth? What's stopping you? You call yourself friends and then you cannot talk? You cannot discuss things? It's weird. I'm not feeling it with James and Cordelia. I'm feeling it less and less, actually. This is so weird. James is like having a lot of thoughts. He's like, what if it is me, Daisy? What if Belial is somehow controlling me, making me into a murderer, bloodying my hands? But Belial is gone, James. Cordelia's voice, that voice that made him want to tell her everything. For a century at least. But like, I'm getting James. I'm getting all of his confusion, and it's kind of hurting me because he has no idea what he is going through, and he has no idea how much of a hand Grace has in everything while he thinks that he loves her. God, this was so cruel. I cannot imagine how it must have been for Malcolm to know that Animal has been dead for years. I mean, it's gonna be so bad because Tatiana is like, all these years the truth had been concealed from Fade. He won't thank you for being the one who tells him. I can promise you that. And I'm like, I don't know what Grace and Lucy are going to do, how Malcolm is going to know, but it is going to break his heart. And I know that Malcolm is not a very likable character, and not many people are a fan of him. In fact, most of us hate him for what he did to the Blackthorns. But like, I hate what's happening and what has been happening in the past. I'm like, wow, the corrupt Shadowhunters, all those Nephilim, the Clave, everything, they just fucked up the future generations. It's just the way Matthew said it. He says, knowing you, I suspect you wish to be on your own, but do not expect me to accept that for more than a day's time. Also, I shall expect the shilling back, you parsimonious bastard. Yours, Matthew. And I just love it. Love it. What is this? Is this stupidity, or is it being oblivious? Because James is like, he would keep a knife close to him. He would squeeze the blade hard enough to wake himself up with the pain. A little blood was nothing if it meant proving to himself that he was not the murderer. And like, dude, you could just use the knife, the blade in your sleep when you wake up and you do not even remember what you're doing, to cut your ropes. When I read all these lines between Cordelia and Matthew, I just wanted to cry, because I'm kind of liking that they're having this bond, this sweet sort of friendship, but it's just sad. So Matthew told Cordelia what actually happened, and she hugged him, and he took her name, and then at last he put his head down on her shoulder. She held him close as she could. I was really not expecting to cry at this scene, but it just had me in tears. That's the first scene. It's page 265 in my book, and I'm like, almost more than half the book is left. A few lines, short scenes, and Lucie and Jesse have me loving them. It's just the way that Jesse said, I don't like the idea of you seeing other ghosts. And then when he was talking to her about Cordelia and how one can reach one's own peace, though it is difficult, I just loved it. And then he talked about her hair. I feel lucky to see you like this, with your hair loose, as if I were your husband. And she blushed and I blushed, and I'm like, Jesse Blackthorn, I have such a big crush on you. And then he describes her hair just the way Julian did. Told her all the colors that it is, all the shades. And then she's like, what if I were to command you to brush out my hair? And he's like, I am yours to command. Yours to command. I love it.
We say miscommunication, and it's not like James wants to keep secrets. He wants to talk to Daisy, but she's not there, and she's the one actually keeping secrets because she cannot tell whatever it is. And I'm like, just when you wanted to talk to her, Grace came. Nothing good ever happens when she comes to him. Especially not after Tatiana has asked her to go. Will somebody please tell me what is happening? What is happening? Cordelia was like, you're awfully young for serious, I suppose. And Matthew was like, you make it sound as if you are 100. I, said Cordelia with dignity, am an old married woman. And he says, that is not what I see when I look at you. Matthew, like, double meaning stuff like those things are so nice to hear, but then why is it happening? I get why people are shipping Matthew and Cordelia, but like, my poor book, but like, it's not fine with me. James kissed Grace, and I am so the hell not okay with it. She ordered him, she commanded him, whatever she did, the influence she has, she made him kiss her. Fucking hell. Every line Jesse Blackthorn says just makes me love him more and more. And there's this line, he says, you think I do not want to live again truly? To walk with you by the river, hand in hand in the sunlight. And I have had hopes, and I have totally fallen in love with him so much more. I just love him. This was absolutely hilarious. First, Alistair came and he said, I saw the whole thing. Thomas is not responsible for the death or the murder or whatever. He was in fact there to help Lillian. And then Charlotte is like, coincidence after coincidence. And then Alistair is like, I was following Thomas. And Thomas like, you were the one following me. And then Matthew's like, you knew someone was following you and you didn't tell us. It's just, I love this scene. It was, like it was tense and all, and then it suddenly became hilarious. A lot of things have happened in these 3 pages, and I'm going crazy. Okay, so the scene happened. James told Matthew that he kissed Grace, and he told Cordelia, and Matthew was like, you did what? And then James is like, she appeared at my door and demanded to talk to me. I cannot even recall why I kissed her, or if I even bloody wanted to. Matthew gave James an odd look, more than odd. It seemed as if he were trying to make sense of something he could not quite remember. And I'm like, dude, Matthew does not remember it. Somehow, Grace kissed him, and that memory has been wiped from his head, and I have no idea how Grace did that, but that bitch did it. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't hate Grace, but just I get so angry at her. And then on the next page, James is doubting himself, and he's thinking there are 2 James Herondales, the one who believed what he was saying and the one torn by doubt. And I'm like, just inner screams. And just after that Matthew says these lines, and he says, you have always believed love came at a cost, that it was torment and torture and pain, but there should be some joy. There is joy in being with someone you love, even knowing you can never have them, even knowing they will never love you back. And I'm like, Matthew, are you just saying that generally, or are you in love with someone? I have seen people theorize that they think that Matthew is in love with James, his own 𝗏𝗏, and stuff like that. And I have read stuff based on which they've made those theories, and when I read them, those things made me feel like those theories were valid. But I don't really feel them. I'm not the one on the side of those theories. Like, I know they're there, and if they happen, I am mentally prepared, but I don't want it to happen. And then there's these people shipping
Matthew and Cordelia, and I get it. I get why. There's a lot of double meaning stuff. Double meaning stuff, fuck it. On the very next page, Matthew is like, I don't want to see you ruin your life, but if you don't love Cordelia, you should let someone else love her. What is happening? Just what is happening? I cannot understand. I cannot understand. James did not even think what Matthew could have meant.
I haven't seen people talk about Malcolm in Chain of Iron at all, probably because they did not want to spoil this stuff, but like it seems like nobody talked because nobody thought it was important enough. And it's like, it's just Malcolm's love for Annabelle that I'm like, I just admire it, and it makes me so sad because he's like, he accepted that Annabelle was in the adamant citadel. If she was an Iron Sister, she would come back to him, and even if she didn't, she would just fade into silence, die the way Iron Sister and Silent Brothers do, their bodies preserved forever in the Iron Tombs. And he's like, should that have happened, I would have gone to lay down beside her, sleep by her side for eternity. How he would do that, how he thought of that, I don't know, but just the thought itself means a lot. Jesse just said, as always, Lucy, following after you has opened up my world. I cannot stop talking about each of Jesse's lines, and I'm not sorry about it. I just love every single line he says. And just now he said, you have already done so much. If it were not for you, I would have faded a long time ago. I knew something was keeping me anchored here, when by all rights I should have vanished. For these past months, I have been able to see the moonlight reflected on the river, feel the wind and rain against my skin. I remember what it is to be hot or cold, to want things, to need things. All those things are real for me again, as nothing else has been real to me since I died, except for you. And how are you expecting me to not fall in love with a guy who says such things? And then he said, command me to kiss you. I need someone who tells me, command me. And I want to command them. After kissing Lucy, Jesse is like, if I must fade, I would like to fade remembering this as my last waking dream. And all I can think about is Will Herondale. Then she's like, don't go. Hold on for me. We are so close. He touched her cheek. Only promise me one thing. If I do go, give us a happy ending, will you, in your book? And she's like, I don't believe in endings. But he only smiled at her and faded slowly from view. I almost had tears. Almost. It wasn't just his mother I slandered. It was your parents too. You know it. So you don't have to act all high-minded about it. Stop pretending you are only upset on behalf of Matthew. Hate me on your own behalf, Thomas. And no, I am not fine. She's like, Grace's power or will, nothing would work on James because of his unclean blood, by which I'm assuming it's the warlock blood in him. For a second, for some time, I just want to sit and yell. I fucking hate her. I hate that bitch. Why can she not die? I wish she dies. I wish she dies in this book. I cannot handle her. I cannot take more of her in another book. She's already messing up with us in future. If you're reading Secrets of Blackthorn Hall, you know what I mean. So like, no more of her, please. I don't want her in the books. I obviously love Christopher Lightfoot. I love him, but I just do not care about him much. Like, I don't know him. I don't know his character. There's not much about him at all, to be honest. But just now when he was talking to Grace and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, Grace, you must be getting bored. I just felt so sad for him. Like, boy, just, it's okay. You can, some people are interested. And I'm like, why are his friends like that? Like, friends can sometimes sit and listen to you, no? I mean, I just felt sad for him. Oh, yes, and we have to appreciate Grace for deciding not to use her power on Christopher, even if she decided it for once, or how many ever times she decided it. She made the decision to not use her power, and that has to be appreciated, acknowledged, and
I love that she did that. So Thomas just told Alistair, just imagine, what if we'd never gone to the academy together? What if none of those things had happened and Paris was the first time we'd met? And this was the second. I love this for them, okay? I love this for them. I am so happy, especially for Alistair, because he just so deserves all the love. And I'm also happy for Thomas. So kind of back to the topic that we started in the start. It's that now that James has met Belial and Belial has said that he has not been sending the visions, and James is telling Cordelia that he believes him even though he knows that Belial is used to lying, and somehow I believe him too because of his reaction and the way everything was written. I believe that he was not sending the vision. So you know what? Yeah, I think it's Lilith. I think she is the one involved. Of course she cannot die for good, but like, I don't know how if she appears in this book, you know, like after only this few pages. I've read like 430 pages. I've only left like 150 or something. I don't know. I just cannot tolerate Lilith in this. I do not want her to appear, and people have been talking about the cliffhanger. Just please tell me Lilith does not appear in this book. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong about this. So it was these lines by Cordelia to James that I was reminded of when I read James' line to Cordelia, and I'm gonna read them in order. First, on the previous page, Cordelia said, "All I could see was shadows, and then I knew you in the dark." And I just loved it. It kind of reminded me of 𝗀𝗍𝗄𝗄 and Patroclus, but we're not going to talk about them in this vlog. It just reminded me of them, and I just loved it that she could recognize him in the dark. She just knew him. It also reminded me of Jude and Cardan from Queen of Nothing, but again, we're not talking about them in this vlog. And anyways, then James is like, "Nothing worked until I thought of you," and then he tells that he thought about her. "And I was no longer afraid. I knew I would be able to come home because of you, that you would lead me back. You are my constant star, Daisy." And I'm just like, those words, those precious words are spoken by him to her. She loves him. She deserves to hear that. He loves her. He has to say those things to her. He just cannot stop. Like, still those words are being exchanged while both of them haven't actually confessed. They don't have any clarity about each other's feelings about themselves, and I'm like not able to process that. Believe me when I say that I have not been able to film this clip. I've tried to read these lines to talk about them like several times before filming it right now, but I couldn't. I'm not able to process it. I know it's not a big thing, but with their dynamic in my head, their relationship, everything, the way it is happening, I'm not okay with it. And also, I might seem like I'm very much interested in stuff like that. No, I'm feeling for them because I just am, okay? I'm reading about them and I'm feeling about them, that's it. But for some reason, I am not that invested into their story. I do not really care about it. All I'm really wanting inside is that I just want this to be over with. Like, I want to read about something else. I want to read about Alistair or Matthew or Lucie and Jesse or just anybody else. I just don't really want to read about them. And I also want to read about Grayson. I know I said only a few pages left, but it's not really a few pages left, you know, like it's this much of the book left and I have no idea what's gonna happen. Bracelet has been broken. It has been broken. So I think I probably missed this. I did not update about it or something, but two things happened and it's so weird. First was that and the second thing is that Christopher was talking about the Adamus and everything that he told Matthew the previous night. And Matthew's like, "What are you even talking about?" And Christopher's like, "I told you about that. You came and I told you." And Matthew's like, "I did not come." And now we have no idea who that Adamus went to. And all I can think about is Lilith. Because Belial is weak. And he clearly said that he's not doing anything. He's not sending any visions or dreams or anything. And James believes him. And I believe him. But I don't know what to believe.
Yesterday I read till the part where Lilith enters, and there's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, starting with how I forgot to share that when Lucie and the others were thinking no one other than the Iron Sisters can get access to 𝗪𝗛 and forge it and stuff, I was like, why is no one even thinking about how Tatiana has access to it? She is literally the one found with all the dark magic and necromantic stuff at her home, which is the main reason that she was sent to the Adamant Citadel to be the Iron Sister. Like, why is no one thinking that she could still be the one giving a demonic alliance to the 𝗪𝗛 and doing dark stuff? Like, it's most likely. They have got to think about it, but no one did. So I'm gonna share a few clips from yesterday, and then I'm gonna share my thoughts that I have somehow gathered together. Like, I have not processed anything. I don't know what to think, but I think I have clear enough thoughts than yesterday, so I'm gonna talk about it after this.
Why is no one thinking about her, that it could be her corrupting the 𝗪𝗛 from inside the Adamant Citadel?
Jesse is alive now. Jesse is alive, and he is standing in front of Matthew, Cordelia, and James, and I'm glad, but I'm so scared. Great, it was not Jesse, it's Belial having possessed his body. I don't think he's alive right now. I think he's only possessed. I don't know what happened with Lucie. I need to know. Yes, it's Lilith. Lilith is here. I didn't want her to be here, but she is here, and for some reason I'm thinking she's here to help, which cannot happen. A few things are that Matthew came to Christopher and it was not Matthew. I first thought that it was Tatiana who was possessing him somehow, but then I was like, she can only possess mundanes, not Matthew, and then I was like, it must have been a shapeshifter. I don't know why I said that I thought Lilith would help them. Like, from the start I was just scared that Lilith would enter and something would be fucked up, but having seen Belial being shocked that it was Lilith, that he doesn't even know that Lilith was involved in all of this somehow, I'm like, is Lilith somehow gonna punish Belial and, you know, indirectly gonna help Shadowhunters? I know it's the least likely to happen. It cannot happen. It doesn't even make sense for the Mother of Warlocks to help Nephilim, but I just thought that, and I still somehow think that it would happen. And I was also thinking that who is that person who hit Lucie on her head, and somehow I'm thinking it's Grace. And what if Grace is, you know, secretly doing something else with Tatiana, and maybe she is the one involved with Lilith? Like, we have no idea. I don't know. And who else would, you know, hit Lucie on the head unless it's someone else? And Grace too is trapped somewhere, like she's probably died or herself hit on the head by someone. I don't know what to think, but somehow I'm suspecting Grace. Like, I don't want to hate her, and I don't, but if she does something weird, I think I might just, you know, end up hating her. And because all the people who hate her, I cannot believe that they simply hate her because of all the misunderstandings that she's created between James and Cordelia. That cannot be the only reason. There has to be more, and if that's the only reason, then I'm glad I don't have to hate Grace, because I don't want to. She does not deserve hate. Finally, someone talked about it. Grace is like, she destroyed him, her mistrust killed him, and she never took an ounce of the blame, never spoke a word of regret, only said it was the fault of the Nephilim, but it was her fault. Hers. And I am so glad someone finally said it. I don't know how I missed it, but somehow Cordelia is like, it was Lilith disguised as Magnus at the shadow market. It was not Magnus. I cannot believe this. I think I missed something, and I cannot go flip back and check it out, so I'm reading ahead, and then Lilith is like, my paladin can harm you even if I cannot, and I'm like, it was her once again. It was her who Cordelia swore the fealty to. Like, I'm like, what is even happening in this? I knew Lilith was going to be in this book, and yeah, she's like, I've been in this realm, I've been walking in this world ever since you took my realm, and I'm like, I cannot believe this. I am so much in shock. And then Belial's like, Paladin. That explains it. You are Nephilim, not an archangel. I should have been able to defeat you. Me, Cordelia said. No, I'm not her Paladin. Foolish child, said Lilith. You are mine.
And while Belial, in his new form, might have been able to defeat a bearer of Cortana, he cannot defeat one who is my paladin. That is a lie. I swore fealty to William the Smith. You swore fealty to me, said Lilith. What the fuck are we going through in this book? What is Cassie even writing? How did she even plan this? James comes to Cordelia, holds her, and repeats the wedding vows, and he's like, Daisy, keep hold of me and don't let go. It's the same as Julian repeating the 𝗏𝗏𝗏 oath while having his time with Emma, if you get what I mean. Like, I know it's not the same, but it just reminded me of that scene. So, a few things have happened. James has explained to everyone that the attacker was actually Jesse's body, which Tatiana had preserved somehow. And finally, someone says it, that after all, they already knew she had attempted necromancy. It was why she had been imprisoned in this citadel in the first place. Finally, someone said it, and I was like, glad, thank you. And then there's this scene where Matthew is like, Carstairs, he comes to Alistair and he tells that his brother is asking for him, and Matthew's like, do not make your sister a liar. She's a better person than you are, and if she believes in you, you should try to be someone she can believe in. I know I do. And I'm like, I just love Matthew, and I want him to be happy so bad. I'm literally wanting him to be happy. He deserves it so much, and I have no idea what he sees in Cordelia. Because previously I do not really remember the quote, but Cordelia said something about herself, and Matthew said, that is not how I see you. And just now he said, I know I do. And I'm like, then on the next page Matthew was like, I don't like Charles, but I love him. I can't help it. Odd how that works, isn't it? And I felt it. I felt it so hard in my heart. It just hit me. It hit me, and I had to like post it everywhere I could. I posted it on Instagram, I think, and I wanted to share this quote with everyone. It means a lot to me. And then there's this scene between Cordelia and Lucie, and Cordelia obviously realized that Lucie has feelings for Jesse, and she confronts Lucie. They talk about it, and Cordelia's like, you should have told me, I would not have judged you. And I kind of, in that moment, got really angry, because like, who are you to say that when you yourself have been keeping secrets? And then on the very next line, I got cool again, because Lucie very calmly told her, and you could tell me of your own feelings. For I think perhaps loving someone you cannot be with is a thing you understand better than I had guessed before today. And it was a sweet moment between them. It was nice. I loved it. I'm glad they did not fight over it. I myself got angry over it, but Lucie did not, and I'm happy because she calmed me down as well. And I've literally read more, but like I keep forgetting, so I have to see the next scene that I tabbed to talk about later, because I could not stop between reading. I just did not want to, and now I'm talking about those things. Oh yeah, so there's this conversation between Cordelia and her mother tells her that I just want you to be happy, to follow your dreams and stuff like that, and I just loved it. I'm glad that Cordelia's mother talked to her that way. I loved it. Oh, and James is thinking about how he would tell Cordelia later the secret of the necklace, and I'm like, I want to know it. What's more to the necklace? Because he gifted it to her. There must be something special related to it. And at the same time, I'm dreading it. I'm dreading every single thing, because he thought that he would talk to Cordelia about it later, not yet. And then there's this thing that he's talking about how he would talk to Lucie tomorrow as well. And all I am dreading is that he would not be able to talk to either of them, would not be able to talk about it, to share what he wants to share whatever he's putting off on the next day, because I've heard so much about the cliffhanger in this book, and I'm dreading it. Simply dreading it. I don't know. and there's also this line where James is like, it was not really Magnus. It was not really him, because his magic was a different color, the wrong color. And even though I noticed it, I just kind of ignored it, thinking that maybe this dream magic or stuff like that has a different color. But like, who am I kidding? Magnus's magic never changes its color. I mean, I ought to know after having read Lost Book of the White. So, anyway, I forgot, I ignored it, and now James said it, and I'm like, yeah, well, foolish of me. It was like a big plot twist for me, but for a lot of you, it probably wasn't. About the gun, yeah. Okay, jokes aside, whatever it is, we still don't know why only James can shoot from the gun, but I loved the little joke that Anna made about Christopher having made Lilith killing weapons. I needed it. Oh my god, yes. I don't know why I keep forgetting. Like, there's so much in this book on every single page. If I had been talking about it while reading it, I would have been simply stopping every few pages, because that's simply what's happening right now. I'm just flipping, and on almost every other page I have a tab. So right now it's that Cordelia was like so surprised that they all consider her a friend, and I'm like, girl, I wanted to hug her, because yes, of course, they consider you a friend. You're not just friend, you're family. I'm just Cordelia. Okay, so the misery doesn't end. We have more, and that is Matthew and James' conversation. It was very nice, very sweet, very wholesome in a way. I loved it, but it kind of hurt me. I cannot explain why. In a way, it just hurts me whenever they talk, because they don't really talk about the things they should talk about. It's hurting. And that line when Matthew says, "You were not there, you did not see how happy she was when she thought Wayland the Smith had chosen her to be his blood." And I know what it is like to do something you thought was good and have it turn out to be a terrible mistake. Okay, so one more thing. Of course, after the fan art and the people having talked about it so much, I know that Cordelia and Matthew go to Paris together. I have no idea why that happens, how it is the end, why it is a bad thing. I don't know all of it, but like, I am so dreading the end because of all this. I think my experience would have been different if I had not waited so long, but having seen all the people talk about the heartbreaking cliffhanger or the shocking cliffhanger or whatever it is, I'm just I'm not able to read. I'm simply not able to read because of everything that has happened so far. Alright, and now I'm going to read the scene where Lucy is going to Malcolm to raise Jesse. I want him to be, risen. I want to resurrect Jesse. I want him alive. I don't care about the consequences. I think we'll see the consequences in the Wicked Powers with whatever happens with Ty, but just bring Jesse back, will you, please? Lucy was somehow inside Jesse's memories. Like, that did not fit. It happened so suddenly. I'm still not sure how that happened. This is so dreamy. I can literally not tell you how much I love it. She's literally seeing herself through his eyes, and she's like, she had no idea how she looked through his eyes. She looked different than she imagined herself. Graceful, desirable, beautiful, and I'm like, that is so dreamy, so... when lovers say, if only you could see yourself through my eyes, you have no idea how you look through my eyes. I'm like, Lucy literally saw herself through Jesse's eyes. The boy who she loves, the boy who loves her. That is so dreamy, so beautiful, so magical. I wish it could happen in real. I love it. I love them. I want Jesse to be brought back. Please bring him back, Cassie, please. Lucy commanded Jesse to live, and somehow he's alive, and I want him to be alive, but I did not want him to be alive like this, and now she's weak, and I don't know what's happening to her, but like, Malcolm is so horrified. He's like, what has she done? And Jesse is alive. He's alive. I'm glad, and I don't get it. All Lucy can do is smile and be happy about how she did it. To make a joke right now was the last thing that I thought about doing, and I don't even know if it is a joke to most of you or not, but Tatiana just told Grace, you couldn't trust that your mother knew the best, could you? And all I can think about is Rapunzel's mother singing that song. Mother knows best. I hate Tatiana right now. I hate her the most in this moment than I ever did at any time, to be honest. Just now, she is so self-righteous. I just want to kill her. Grace just told her that I know, of course, that you must not have been aware of what your patron did. I know you would never have put Jesse in danger. And Tatiana has the nerve. She has the nerve to say it was Jesse's fault. If he hadn't been so insistent on wearing runes, it would never have happened. And oh my god, bitch, even if you did not want to do all of it, you are the reason that he died in the first place. She was willing to go to the extent of necromancy, bring her boy back, instead of saving him when she could, instead of not having to ever let him die. She took the risk, because what brain does she have? Where is her brain even located in her body? Like, it's definitely not in her head. I hate Tatiana so much. She's literally saying, let them bring Jesse back and then seduce him. Grace is like, Jesse is my brother. And Tatiana says, nonsense, you sure know blood. I cannot believe this, that she's even asking this of Grace.
No choice. It was that moment that Grace realized something she had never realized before. That her mother had cursed her with power over men, but not women. Never women. Not because she did not believe women had influence, but because she could not bear the thought that Grace might ever have power over her.
Cordelia almost said, like, not almost, she said that she cannot be Lucie's _𝗵𝗿 for obvious reasons, and then she was like, I just wanted to be a hero. And previously, Jesse told Lucie, you are my heroine, and just now, James told her, you are a hero, Daisy. And the parallels, I want for them both to be happy. Just be happy and be happy and be happy. Is that too much to ask? Oh my god, James is just thinking he wanted to ask her to marry him again properly this time. He's realizing all these things, and I am so not ready for what we have ahead. They were kissing and Cordelia asked him to stop, and that is when he was thinking all this, and he's like, why? What the fuck? Why do they talk like that? Why can James not say that no, because I've realized that I never loved Grace and instead loved you? Instead, he's saying, no, I do not feel about you at all as I feel about Grace, how I ever felt about Grace. And I'm like, I am so mad at James. Why did he have to say it like that? Why? He had the chance to say it. Okay, I get it. It was in the moment. He just said it that way. I don't know what made him say it that way. He was already thinking about asking her to marry him the proper way, and this is what he says. This is how he says it. Just, I don't know what to do. Nothing can be done. It's done.
The way Cassie chose these lines for just this chapter, you know, these lines truly fit James and Grace's dynamic. I can't believe that James is actually thinking all this. Didn't she even wonder where Cordelia was? James thought whether they might be interrupted. Was no one in the world real to her except herself? Did nothing matter but her immediate needs? And then after these lines, he's like, over here, gone was the sense of shock and amazement he felt at the sight of her. In its place was something else, a rising anger.
Okay, shit, I cannot believe that we're going through this. I mean, I knew this would happen. This had to happen, but I can't believe it. Why the hell did he have to lock the door? Why? With Cordelia in the house. Just fucking talk in front of her. I'm hating all of this. I'm hating this. I'm hating this. I'm hating it. James is like, did it just make me think I loved you, or did it do more than that? James said, and saw by her expression that his question had hit its target. There was no pleasure in having guessed correctly. He felt physically sick. What did it do to me? And she's like, there is no point shouting. Oh my god, he's saying I was 14 and she's like old enough for puppy. Tatiana fucking bitch, that fucking bitch was taking her revenge on James at the exact same age that she was at when Will insulted her by reading her diary. When he embarrassed her, she was 12 when it happened, and she started doing it with James when he was 12, only it did not work the way she wanted it to work, and then the bracelet came in when he was 14. Oh my god! He had already loved her then. He had already loved her then. I'm only angry, nothing else. I'm only angry. The way he thought none of it had been real. He had been longing for a drug, a fever dream. Yeah, now I am hurt. I'm feeling hurt and anger. And yet, unlike a lot of people, I think, I do not hate Grace. Okay, James literally asked her, who else have you used your power on? Any of my family, my friends? It only works on men, you said. They would have forgotten, Grace said. And I'm like, damn, like, everything was clouded. Not only his emotions, also, he could not even think. And now he's thinking and he's talking and he's communicating. He's literally talking and asking all the important stuff that needed to be talked about. Oh my god. I know everyone has been keeping their secrets, but James has not kept a secret. Not a single secret. He's shared everything he wanted to. Even when the bracelet was on his wrist, he wanted to talk to Cordelia about what happened, the window and the dream and everything. It's just, he's talking wrong when he has the chance to talk to Cordelia. I mean, that sucks so much. How are things going so wrong? Why did Cassie write it this way? Obviously to hurt us. I will not pity you. The bracelet broke only last night, and even in the short time since I've been remembering, I can remember Cordelia reading to me how I felt about her, and it may have been a puppy love, but it was new and wonderful, and you smashed it underfoot as if you were crushing a butterfly with a brick. I remembered how, when you took the bracelet off me 4 months ago, I felt as though a fog had been lifted from my brain. I could think again. I've only been half alive since I was 14. You have not just made me think that I loved you, you have subsumed my will over and over until I no longer know who I am. Do you even understand what it is you've done? Damn it, Cordelia saw James and Grace embrace each other and what they said, and she left. She's literally not at the house, and I'm like, please let them have a conversation. Please let them have a conversation before these last few pages. I cannot understand what is happening. I know that they have not exchanged their second runes of the wedding, and I think that it would happen when all will be settled between Cordelia and James, and it would be very sweet and nice, and I hope that happens in book 3, but whatever. And right now she realized that without even thinking, she was heading towards Matthew, and it made sense. Who else could she go to but Matthew? Who else lived alone away from the prying eyes of parents? More importantly, who else knew the truth? And I'm like, she would go to Matthew and he would be very nice to her, very kind to her, just like a friend should be. And it should be that. Now I hope that just the way that she has understood James and Grace's conversation, those 2 lines between them, I hope that James doesn't see her with Matthew and misunderstands it as well. I do not need more misunderstandings. I cannot handle this. I can simply not show my face. I do not have the energy to even just talk while looking at the camera. I cannot. All these things, all these lines are just killing me right now. Matthew said, I am going to Paris, and she asked why, and he's like, because I couldn't bear to be here. I took a note to stand by James' side, and I love him. He has always been all the things that I am not. Honest where I am not, brave where I am a coward. When I thought his choice was you, it was never me. I thought he took you for granted. Then I saw the way he ran to you after the battle in Nelson Square. It seems 1,000 years ago now, but I remember it. He ran and caught you up, and he seemed desperate to know that you were all right, as if he would die if you weren't. And I thought I misjudged him, so I told myself to stop. Stop what? Hoping, I suppose, that you would see that I loved you. Matthew said this to Cordelia. He confessed his love. Like, I'm like, I so do not want this love triangle. I'm getting all the people who ship their stairs. I mean, no, I love them. I love them both, but Cordelia loves James, and it's obvious. And oh my god, I want Matthew to be happy. I cannot ship Matthew and Cordelia, but oh my god, I'm so confused. No, I'm not confused, okay? I just know that at least in this case, Matthew is not going to be happy because Cordelia does not love him. In the end, she's going to be with James. She's going to be with James. Their marriage is not going to end. They're going to have those second runes. Oh my god, I'm so not ready for the heartbreak that Matthew is going to go through. And for all my talk of the tragic ending, please forgive me. I do not want it for Matthew. Kill me. Everyone just kill me. Matthew asked Cordelia to come with him to Paris, and now I know why they go to Paris. And I'm just feeling dead. But I so want it for them. I think they should go. I think they should leave everything behind. I don't know, I cannot bring myself to care for James. I know what he's been going through, and I feel for him, but I don't really care about him. I don't care about him.
So if you finally reached the end, that was my vlog. I do not have a lot of afterthoughts, the ones that you have after processing everything that happened in the book, but yeah, I'm not able to stop thinking about what consequences Lucie is going to face, and in my head I have this idea that when and if she testifies in front of the clave, and they'll be like, the law is hard, but it is the law, and you attempted necromancy, so you have to face certain consequences. I feel like somebody, but most likely it would be Jesse, to be the first Blackthorn, to stand up for Lucie and be like, bad law is no law. Like, I would like that to happen. But we'll see whatever happens. I've read theories where people are like, Jesse will turn evil and he will use Lucie, but I cannot really fit that in my head. I don't know how people think that. It just doesn't fit in my head. I cannot see Jesse becoming evil, or even if he does, using Lucie. That just doesn't sit well with me. I'm also thinking about how Matthew is going to end up happy, because I wanted him to be happy, and since he said that he loves Cordelia, which by the way I do not really feel like he loves her. It was hinted at with all the dialogues that he was saying before he confessed his love, and then he finally confessed his love, and even after he did, I just don't feel it. Like, if he does love her, I cannot do anything, because I wanted him to be happy. And now if he loves her, if he truly does, and if he's not just saying it, then he's going to be hurt, because Cordelia doesn't love him. Cordelia will not love him. She loves James. She has loved James for a long time, and I do not want her to love Matthew. I loved their friendship, and I want it to stay like that. About Thomas and Alistair, I wish we got more. I also wish we got Jesse's point of view. I wish we got more of Anna and Ariadne. I know I said that I dislike Anna, but I would have liked to see more of her. I thought that in Chain of Iron we would get a lot of, stuff, a lot of insight into a lot of characters' lives and relationships. But we did not get that. My biggest complaint from Chain of Iron is that most of the book just revolved around James and Cordelia, and while I love both of them, I love them both more as individual characters than together as a couple. I did not feel it. I did not like it. I would have loved to see Jesse's point of view. I would have loved to see more of Malcolm. I wanted all of it. I'm also thinking what Tatiana and Belial are up to. Like, now that she's stolen the 𝗏𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏𝗏, I feel like she would side or get Malcolm to side with her, because she'll be like, I have the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏𝗏. And if you remember, I don't know if it was exactly like this, or if this idea just somehow got into my head. It's that I think I read that in the book it said that the Iron Sisters die in the Iron Tombs or something like that. So maybe they'll be like, Malcolm, come on, side with us, and we'll give you Annabelle's body or whatever's left of it. I don't know. I don't have a lot of thoughts. I do keep interacting about thoughts and theories on Chain of Iron and Chain of Thorns, so if you would like to interact with me or share yours, you can obviously comment down below this video. But if you'd like to keep following up with me and talk to me about latest theories or latest thoughts as you process more and more, or as I process more and more, you could follow me on my social media. I am most active on Instagram. All my social media links are also available in the description bar below, so you can follow me there. And yeah, that's about it. My rating for Chain of Iron was 4 stars. I don't know if I said this before, but it was 4 stars. It just did not become a 5 for me. On my first read of Chain of Gold, I remember there were some things that I did not like, but I was so biased and so in love that I rated it 5 stars. But with Chain of Iron, it just didn't happen. I'm kind of disappointed because I thought it would be a 5-star book for me, but it wasn't. Yeah. So this is the end. I will see you in my next video. Till then, goodbye and take care.